I'll never forget the sound of my name being called. Rachel Miller, Master of Business Administration. The stadium erupted. Cheers, balloons, families waving homemade signs. I walked across that stage, navy cap and gown, diploma case clutched tight. 5 years of sweat, 5 years of late nights, 5 years of sacrifice, right here, in my hands. And yet, when I looked up at the stands, searching for the faces I loved most, there was no one, not my husband, not my kids, not my parents, not even my brother, who lived 20 minutes away. Empty seats. And in that moment, under the blinding spotlight, I felt the truth I'd been avoiding for years. My family didn't see me. Not really. Not the way I needed them to. I forced a smile for the photographer, then walked off the stage, heart breaking in the slow motion. Each step echoed the same question. Why wasn't my family here? For those who don't know me, my name is Rachel Miller. I'm 35. Tonight was supposed to be the proudest night of my life. I finally earned my MBA, 5 years of grinding, full-time financial analyst by day, night classes by evening, and somehow, still raising 2 kids. So many nights I sat at the kitchen table, long after everyone else went to bed, scribbling notes, drinking cold coffee, whispering to myself, "One more assignment, Rachel. One more paper. Just keep going." I thought I was doing all this not just for me, but for us, for our future. Mark, my husband, always said he supported me. And in some ways, he did. He handled school pickups, packed lunches, drove the kids to practice. He didn't complain when I pulled all-nighters. But somewhere along the way, I could feel it. He wasn't proud anymore. He was resentful. The sighs, the rolled eyes, the muttered, "You're never home." They told a story of their own. My son Tyler is 14, typical teenager, basketball, video games, TikTok. My daughter Emily, 11, sharp, sensitive, always asking if I'm okay when she saw me buried in books. I hoped tonight they'd see me differently, not just Mom the nag, not just the woman who cooked and cleaned, but the woman who fought for something big. And then there's my family, my parents, Linda and Robert, and David, my brother, the golden child. Always has been. Runs his own construction company. Every time he hosts a barbecue, my parents beam like he just won the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, me, quietly grinding through night school, building a career. Somehow, never enough. So when the graduation date was set, I circled it on the calendar 3 months early, sent reminders, texted updates, bought extra tickets so everyone could come. This was the night. The night I would finally hear them cheer my name. But when I walked into the arena, adjusting my gown, scanning the crowd, my stomach dropped. Empty seats, no balloons, no signs that read, "Go Mom," or "We're proud of you." Just strangers. I told myself maybe they were late, maybe stuck in traffic, maybe seated farther away. But the truth hit me after the ceremony, when my phone buzzed. Not a congratulations, not a photo of my kids holding flowers. It was a message from Emily, short, panicked. "Mom, Tyler fell off the bike at Uncle David's BBQ. He broke his arm. We're at St. Luke's Hospital." I froze in the middle of the crowd, graduation cap still on, tassel brushing against my cheek, tears blurring my vision. They hadn't come because they were at a barbecue. My brother's barbecue. I clutched my diploma tighter, cardboard edges cutting into my palms as if pain could anchor me. My chest pounded, betrayal, disappointment, and anger. 5 years. 5 years of sleepless nights. Weekends gone. Time with my kids traded for textbooks. And when the moment came, the people I loved most weren't there. I grabbed my keys, pushed through the crowd, ran to the parking lot. I didn't care about pictures, about champagne, about classmates celebrating. I didn't care that my robe was still on as I sped down the highway toward the hospital. All I could think was, how could they? How could they choose ribs and beer and lawn chairs over me? The answer, I feared, was simple. Because in my family, my accomplishments had never mattered as much as his. And in that moment, something inside me cracked wide open. I pulled into the hospital parking lot, headlights cutting through the night. My graduation cap lay abandoned on the passenger seat. The gown still clung to me as I ran inside. The smell of antiseptic hit me, cold, sharp. And then I saw them, my family, all together. Mark pacing, running his hands through his hair. Mom and Dad whispering to each other. David, of course, telling a story, like he always does, trying to own the room. Emily sitting close, nodding, anxious. And Tyler, my boy, pale, his arm in a sling. Relief washed over me for half a second. But then, it was gone. Because as I walked closer, cap and gown still on, no one looked surprised. No one looked guilty. They just looked. Emily spotted me first. "Mom!" she cried, running into my arms. I held her tight, fighting the lump in my throat. Mark finally noticed. "Rachel, you made it." I made it? The words cut deep. I turned to Tyler. "Is he okay?" "The doctor says it's a clean break," Mark said quickly. "He'll be fine." I brushed Tyler's hair back, kissed his forehead. "You scared me half to death, buddy." "Sorry, Mom," he mumbled. Uncle David had the bikes out. I was trying to jump the ramp. Of course. David's barbecue. David's ramp. David's spotlight. Something inside me snapped. I stood in the middle of the waiting room, my gown swishing around my ankles. My voice shook at first, but then it grew louder. Does anyone even realize what tonight was? They stared at me, blank, confused. Tonight, I said, pointing at the floor, was my graduation. 5 years of busting my ass. Working full-time, raising 2 kids, staying up till 2 a.m., writing papers. And I walked that stage alone. The words landed heavy. No one spoke. I sat there in a sea of families cheering, balloons flying, names being shouted. And me? Nothing. Just empty seats where you should have been. Mark opened his mouth, but I cut him off. And why? Because you were all at David's barbecue, eating ribs, drinking beer, like it was just another Saturday. Tell me, was the potato salad worth it? Was it more important than me? David bristled. Rach, come on. Tyler got hurt, all right? We didn't mean... Don't you dare, I snapped. Don't you dare make this about the accident. You planned that barbecue knowing it was my graduation, and everyone chose you. Again, just like always. Mom's voice trembled. Sweetheart, we didn't think it was such a big deal. We thought you'd understand. Not a big deal. I laughed bitterly. 5 years of my life. Thousands of hours. A degree that changes everything for us. And you didn't think it was a big deal? Tears stung, but I pressed on. I've been the glue, the safety net, the one holding everything together, and all I wanted, just once, was for you to show up, to say, we see you, we're proud of you. But you couldn't even give me that. The waiting room fell silent. Even the receptionist behind the counter stopped typing. Tyler shifted uncomfortably. Emily clutched my hand. Mark dropped his gaze. For the first time in years, I let the silence sit. I let them feel the weight of it. Finally, I whispered, voice raw. I walked that stage alone tonight, and I'll never forget it. I sank into the chair, my gown pooling around me. And for once, I didn't feel invisible. I felt furious. And that fury was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. The drive home that night was silent. Mark's hands gripped the steering wheel, his eyes locked on the road. The kids sat in the back. Tyler, half asleep, his arm strapped in a temporary splint. Emily, staring out the window, face pale in the glow of the streetlights. And me? I sat in the passenger seat, still in my cap and gown, the tassel brushing against my cheek, the diploma case heavy on my lap. I stared out into the dark, city lights blurring by, and with every mile, the emptiness inside me grew louder. When we pulled into the driveway, Mark finally spoke. "Rach, I know you're upset, but can we just talk tomorrow? Everyone's exhausted." I didn't answer. I walked inside, straight to the bedroom. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the diploma case in my hands. 5 years of sacrifice. 5 years of work. And yet right now it felt hollow. So hollow. That's when it hit me. I couldn't keep living like this. The next morning, I packed a small suitcase. Jeans, sweaters, my laptop, just enough. Mark found me zipping the bag, his face drained of color. "What are you doing?" "I'm leaving," I said. "Leaving?" "Rachel, come on. We had a fight. A bad night, but you can't just—" "This isn't about one night." My voice cracked, but I stood firm. "This is about years of feeling invisible, years of giving until there's nothing left of me. I need space. I need to breathe." Emily appeared in the doorway, eyes wide. "Mom, don't go." I knelt down, brushing her hair from her face. "Sweetheart, I'm not leaving you. I just need some time to remember who I am, not just mom, not just wife, but me." Behind her, Tyler lingered, silent. His guilty eyes said everything he couldn't. Mark's voice rose. "So what? You're just gonna run away? That's your solution?" I stood tall, suitcase in hand. Number, this isn't running away. This is me, finally standing up for myself. And with that, I walked out the door. The hotel room was simple, white sheets, a desk by the window, a view of the city skyline. For the first time in years, silence. No kids yelling, no dishes clattering, no Mark sighing. Just me. That night, I opened a notebook. The blank page stared back at me, and I wrote, 5 years ago, I started this because I wanted a better future for my family. But tonight, I realized, maybe I needed to do this for me. The words poured out. About the nights I cried in my car before class. The mornings I dragged myself to work on 2 hours of sleep. The guilt every time I missed a game or a bedtime story. But also, the pride. The fire in me when I aced a project. When a professor praised me. When I felt myself growing stronger than I ever believed possible. By the time I put the pen down, the ink was smeared with tears, but my chest felt lighter. Days blurred together. Room service, sleep, coffee walks downtown, breathing again. But guilt tugged at me. Tyler with his broken arm. Emily begging me not to go. Mark, alone with the house. Still, one truth anchored me. If I go back without speaking up, nothing changes. They'll keep taking me for granted, and I'll keep shrinking until I disappear completely. I couldn't let that happen. One evening, as the city lights glittered outside my window, I whispered to myself, "Rachel, you are not invisible, not anymore." And right there, I made a promise. The next time I faced my family, I wouldn't beg for attention. I would demand respect. By the 4th day at the hotel, my phone was buzzing non-stop. Missed calls, voicemails, texts, Mark, Mom, even David. For years, I stayed silent, swallowed my feelings. But silence didn't protect me. It erased me. So I decided, no more silence. I met Mark first. A diner near the hotel. Vinyl booths, burnt coffee. He slid into the seat across from me. He looked wrecked. Eyes ringed, hair messy. "Rach," he said quietly, "the kids miss you." "I miss you." I just sipped my coffee. Let the silence stretch. "Do you know," I said finally, "that every night I imagined you in the audience, cheering for me? That's what kept me going. And when I looked out and saw no one, it broke me." Mark's jaw clenched. "I know. I should have been there." "It's not just that night," I pushed. "It's the sighs, the eye rolls, the muttered, 'You're never home.' You made me feel like chasing my goals was a burden." His voice cracked. "I wasn't trying to. I felt left behind, Rachel. While you were moving forward, I was stuck. I was scared you'd realize you didn't need me anymore." I stared at him. For the first time, I didn't see anger. I saw fear. I leaned in. "Mark, I don't need you to be perfect. I need you to be proud. Stand beside me, not against me." His shoulders dropped. "I can do that. I want to. Just let me try." I nodded. But inside, I knew. Words wouldn't be enough. I needed action. Next, my parents. Their kitchen smelled like tea and roses, just like when I was a kid. Mom smiled nervously. Dad folded his arms. "Rachel, sweetheart," Mom began, "we're so glad you came. We've been worried." I looked at them, my hands shaking. "Tell me the truth. Why has David always mattered more than me?" Mom's smile froze. Dad shifted in his chair. "That's not true," Mom said quickly. "Yes, it is." My voice rose. "When David started his business, you threw parties. When he bought a house, you bragged to the neighbors. But when I earned my MBA, you skipped my graduation for his barbecue." Dad cleared his throat. "It wasn't intentional. We just thought—" "You thought what?" I snapped. "That my achievement didn't matter? That it wasn't worth the drive?" Mom's eyes filled with tears. "We didn't mean to hurt you. We thought maybe you didn't need the fuss. You've always been so independent." I leaned forward, my voice breaking. "That's the point. I did need it. I needed you. I wanted to hear you say you were proud, and you weren't there." Silence. Heavy. Finally, Dad sighed. "You're right. We failed you. I'm sorry. Not everything I wanted, but it was a start. Then, David." I met him at his office. He leaned against his desk, arms crossed, smug as always. "Look, Rach," he said, "you're mad. But it was just a barbecue. You're blowing this out of proportion." Heat rushed through me. "Do you hear yourself? You hijacked the one night that was supposed to be about me, and everyone went along, because that's how it always is. You in the spotlight. Me in the shadows." David frowned. "That's not fair. I never asked Mom and Dad to favor me. No, you didn't." I shot back. "But you never stopped it either. You soaked it up. And when I finally had my moment, you threw a party right on top of it. Whether you meant to or not, you proved it again. Your life always comes first." For once, David was silent, no quick comeback, no smug grin. Finally, he muttered, "I didn't realize how much it meant to you." I laughed, bitter. "Exactly. You never realized, because you never looked." I stood, my heels echoing on the floor, my voice steady now. "I'm done being invisible, David. You don't have to cheer for me, but you will respect me." And I walked out. Back in my hotel that night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my heart raw, my throat sore from everything I'd said. But for the first time in years, I felt lighter. I had spoken the words out loud. They had seen me, and maybe, just maybe, this was the first step toward change. The days after those confrontations felt different, quieter, like the air in my family had shifted. For the first time, I wasn't carrying everything on my own. They had heard me, and something in them had cracked open. Mark was the first to change. One Saturday morning, I came back from a walk. The smell of pancakes hit me before I even stepped inside. There he was, in the kitchen, apron on, Emily at his side, both of them laughing as they flipped a very burnt pancake. Tyler sat at the table, scrolling his phone, his cast on the table, but this time he actually looked up and smiled. "Hey, Mom," he said. "Dad burned the first batch." Mark rolled his eyes at him, then turned to me, put the spatula down, walked over. "I've been thinking," he said quietly, "about what you said. You're right. I wasn't standing beside you, but I want to. From now on, you don't do this alone. No more sighs. No more resentment. I'm here." His voice was steady, and for the first time I believed him. The kids surprised me too. That afternoon, Tyler mumbled, almost embarrassed, "Mom!" "I'm sorry. I didn't think graduation was that big a deal. But now I get it. I should have been there." Emily wrapped her arms around me, whispering, "We're proud of you, Mom." 2 simple sentences, but they filled a hole in me I didn't even know was so deep. And then, David. A week later, he called. "Clear your Friday night," he said. "Trust me." I didn't, but I went anyway. When I pulled up to his house, my jaw dropped. Balloons lined the porch. A banner stretched across the backyard. "Congratulations, Rachel, MBA graduate." Friends, neighbors, coworkers. Everyone was there. David handed me a glass of champagne. He looked sheepish. "I messed up," he admitted. "Bad, but I wanted to make it right. So tonight, this is for you." For the first time in my life, the spotlight was on me. My parents stood there, wiping tears from their eyes. Mark at my side, smiling proudly. My kids chanting, "Go, Mom!" And David raising his glass, for me. And in that moment, something inside me healed. It wasn't about balloons. It wasn't about banners. It was about this. Being seen, finally. A few days after David's party, an email popped up at work. Subject line, "Promotion announcement." My hands shook as I clicked it open. Effective immediately, Rachel Miller is promoted to Senior Financial Analyst. I froze. 5 years of sacrifice. 5 years of late nights. 5 years of wondering if it was all worth it. And here it was. Recognition. Not just from my family, but from the world I'd been fighting to prove myself in. That evening, back at David's house, the party lights twinkled. Laughter filled the backyard. For the first time, every eye was on me. Mark stood close, arm around my shoulder. Tyler and Emily chanting, "Go, Mom!" My parents, tears in their eyes. Even David, lifting his glass, smiling at me. I raised my champagne. The chatter fell quiet. "I used to think my worth depended on whether people showed up for me," I said slowly. "But what I've learned is this. Sometimes you have to demand to be seen. Sometimes you have to draw the line and say, 'I matter too.' And when you do, everything changes." Cheers erupted. Applause. But inside, what I felt was peace. I wasn't invisible anymore, and I never would be again. I lifted my glass higher. To growth, to respect, and to never forgetting our own worth. Then I looked straight at the people around me, at the camera in my mind, at anyone who might hear my story, and I added, "If this journey spoke to you, share it. Tell someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment with your story. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Because none of us should ever feel invisible again." I smiled, raised my glass one last time. To all of us, may we never forget who we are.